Well, hello everyone. Happy Sunday to you all. It is a happy Sunday. I have just finished my prayers. Oy vavoy vavoy. I mean, this is a huge show. I mean, a huge show, an indecent show. It is just so huge. So let us gather around, my fellow sensitive people. This is our Sunday brunch, and I'm your host. I am the hostess with the mostess. I am the Oracle of Whimsy, the alter ego of Dr. Whimsy, who takes Sundays off. She takes Sundays off, she crashes until about 1:30 after eating too much vegetarian pizza. And then her alter ego takes over and makes mischief and merry. And so I'm glad to be here. An ancient oracle, first conceived in an ancient riverbed, in a land far away from here. We pray the rivers will return one day. We don't want flooding. How is everybody? How is the tribe holding up? We have a lot to talk about. And I've got a dead pen. Just have to make a couple notes while everybody gathers. So as I said, I am your host. This is our brunch get together. We invite everybody to join us for brunch. You can be having your brunch at home. You can be having your brunch in a restaurant. Sometimes people take their phones with them and they sit and they have brunch in a restaurant and they watch the show. And I think that's pretty gosh darn great. It is January 22nd, 2023. We have a lot to talk about. We only have one rule for the show: be kind to all so that all can be kind to you. We believe in polite discourse. We don't insult people. We don't insult people's political views. We are a salon brunch. We believe in the Socratic. We all contribute to the good. And so we just ask you to be kind. We accept everybody here, races, ages, creeds, religions, cultures, gender schmenders, political views. You don't have to be a registered Democrat, even though I am a registered Democrat, full disclosure. But you don't have to be. We believe that good people can have civilized conversations. So we welcome you to our brunch table. I would also like to say that we are continuing our fundraiser for the entire month of January. We are trying to raise money for the National Coalition to End Homelessness. So just like when you go to church, you put a little something in the collections. If you're not into that sort of thing and you'd rather do brunch, if you had some fun today, if you were entertained, and if you can afford to give a little bit of a donation, that is the not-for-profit, that is the charity that we are raising funds for. I also want to start off by giving a gratitude to everyone who has been able to become a member of the channel. It supports the channel, keeps us up and running. We've bought quite a few new things. We bought a new computer for the show and a new laptop, and all the mics, lighting, etc. Work that goes into the show. So I just want to give a special shout out to the new members. Holly McDaniels. Thank you so much, Holly McDaniels. She is a new fairy and an angel, and we welcome her. And Karen Hansen, also a new fairy and angel. We thank you as well. If you'd like to be a member, we have 3 tiers. Angels and fairies, it's $2.99. We get together. We have private videos for you. We also have a private get together on Saturdays for members where we offer private readings and prayers for people. We also have another membership, which is Elders, Empaths, and Healers for $9.99. And we get together and we practice heart-centered remote viewing. And that's for people who are elders, empaths, healers, people that want to learn the skills of being a professional empath. And finally, we have a membership, which is the Benefactors program, which is $99 a month, where you get everything else. And you also get a private reading and consultation with me once a month. And that's a great way to support the channel. We also want to give a shout out to everyone who's joined Patreon. We do little fun videos and updates on Patreon a couple times a week. And we have a couple new members at the Patreon level. It's $2 a month, very affordable. Nicole Jones-Dean, thank you so much for your Patreon membership. And Judy O'Donnell is a new Patreon as well. And we thank you and we welcome you. All right. So now that we've discussed all of that, let's go ahead and turn the attention over to you. I want to know who you are. Tell the group who you are. Where are you coming from this beautiful brunch morning? And also, if you could tell us a little bit, not only where you're coming from, but what are you having for brunch? I can show you what I'm having. I am having a protein and greens smoothie with mixed berries and some peanut butter powder in it. I call it a P&J. I'm having a cup of coffee. I've gotten into almond milk lately, got off my oat milk kick. And I'm having a glass of ice water. So that's my brunch. Tell me a little bit about you. Where are you coming from? And what are you having? Let's talk about it. We got peanut butter and toast from 15 Fret. Yum, yum. Blueberry lemon scones with herbal tea from Dallas, Texas. Joanna Carson. Hello. Oh, Sue Malik is having water, and she's in Florida. Pamela Doss, hello, Southern California. Heather K, Chicago, and candied pork belly. Interesting. Sarah Eschweller, hello. Geocosmic Valentine, thank you for your help today. Pierre Walker, thank you so much. Ruth Davis, we adore you. Thank you so much for your support and membership. Joel Tilson is in the house. Much gratitude to him for all he does. Keeping us sane, and he is having a pumpkin spice bread and tea. Sharon Donnelly, hello. Vivian Rivers, welcome, welcome. Maureen Hugh, thank you for being here. Claudia Veris is having fig Newtons. Boy, do I love fig Newtons. You know, they have the natural fig Newtons now. They're gluten-free and they have no sugar because, what do they sweeten those with? But they're delicious. They're vegan. They're yummy. They're gluten-free. Sometimes I get those and I get a little bit wild. And then they got the raspberry flavored now too. Debbie Brady, extraordinaire, your dreams coach. She is a dreams coach and she's a dream as a moderator. She has done a lot of help here for us and we appreciate her. Extremes Brands. Oh, you like my glasses? Thank you so much. Yeah, I got them on Glasses Plus. Is that Lens Plus? Lens Plus. You can get a deal and you know I'm all about frugal. I save my money. I live very simply. I don't drive. I just have a studio because I like to save and travel. If you want to find out more about frugal living and travel, I have a frugal channel, which is called Broke Aristocrats. You should join it. It's a lot of fun. Hi, DM. Thank you for being a member. Hello, Liz. Hi, Sherry R. Thank you for being here. J Cat Lady, always love your beautiful artwork. Kim Washington. Hi, Kim. Good to see you here, and thanks for your support. Oh, my goodness. We've got so much to talk about. Hi, Gigi Pardo Lord. Teresa Katak is in the house. Wendy Burt, we adore you. Thank you, Wendy. Donald Lampert, and I'm glad you're doing well, Wendy. It was good to see you on Saturday. Thank you, Anonymous, for that $20 donation. Cheryl is having Mexican lentil soup and Jamaica water. Yummy. Hi, Joyce Pietros. Redheaded Gypsy's here. Where do I find the time to be frugal or to travel? You know, I try to be mostly plant-based. Rice and beans and cooking my own stuff. And I cook in large batches, large salads. And my main exercise is walking. And I got a really great deal on a rent-controlled apartment that has a gym. So I never go there, but I do theoretically have a gym for exercise. I think the way to be happy is to not try and do too much, to live a simple life. Just be simple, you know. And travel is something that's really, really important to me. So I don't need a car. I don't like to drive. You know, I'd rather save that money and put it aside for my retirement and for a little travel. I don't travel like 5-star hotels. I go to places where I know the dollar is going to be strong. Japan, for example, and you can stay at capsule hotels. So that's how I do it. Okay, so the big news is, that people are talking about a lot has to do with more revelations about George Santos. Absolutely, we can talk about it. I went into the energy on George Santos, and one of the things we teach as remote viewers is to just be one with the energy, be one with the energy of being a member of the GOP in the House, be the ball, right? And so I try to see out of the eyes of what it is to be a conservative, law-abiding Christian, old school, in my 50s, 60s, believes in law and order. And I felt like these last revelations about George Santos being an address, that was the last. And the fact that it's obviously him. Now he's admitted to it. I felt like I, as a member of the Republican Party, GOP, not me personally. When I first started this channel, people didn't understand what heart-centered remote viewing was, and a professional empath becomes the target, different than traditional remote viewers. Anyway, I felt like I was done. I was done, and this man simply cannot stay in the House, and he doesn't represent our values. I felt like I was saying he doesn't represent our values as conservatives. He doesn't represent our values as Christians. And I can't continue to, this is causing people to call McCarthy and say, McCarthy, this guy has got to go. So I think by Tuesday, you're going to start seeing a rising chorus of GOP House members that realize that he's got to go. Not that he will leave by Tuesday, but you can imagine the tension that is on the House floor if he is there on Tuesday, if you really follow the energy. The other thing I felt was that as a member of the Republican Party, this circus has to end. Every time he comes in here, there's loud noise. The press has gone crazy, and we got to get back to the business of our agendas, our work. And this circus has really detracted from our brand, our mission. And so we can't do our work as long as this is going on. And so how do we get this guy out of here? So what we're doing is we're calling Kevin McCarthy and telling Kevin McCarthy how we feel. And it's becoming increasingly obvious to Kevin McCarthy, based on those phone calls, that this guy has got to go. And I supported you, Kevin. But this is not sustainable. It's a circus every day and a new revelation. And I've got my constituents calling me. We got to get this guy out of here. So there's that. The other thing is that some of the constituents, some of the people that voted Republican, they're unhappy about the 9/11 issue, where he claimed that his mother died in the towers. That's been really offensive to New York. So if you are a Republican from New York, you're having problems with your constituents, particularly if you voted for McCarthy. The other group, of course, is Jewish conservatives who are members of the Republican Party are tearing their heads out. They have an alliance with the evangelicals because they both support the state of Israel. So you can imagine the tension in that relationship. Absolutely not. The guy has to go. So how long will it take from the time that the GOP, you have something called a tipping point, right? Where you reach a tipping point and it's enough. I've seen enough. And where I found myself by Tuesday as a GOP House member who supported McCarthy is that I've seen enough. This simply is not sustainable. It can't continue. He has to go. So more salacious revelations will be coming out about George Santos. And the thing about the dog, killing a dog, it's just anybody and everybody who has any beliefs whatsoever in anything has been offended by George Santos. So that is why I predicted that. Look, it's so bad, I don't even know if he can go to the House because there are people at this point in the GOP that don't want him there because of the disruption from the press. Every time he shows up, there are, first it was 20 reporters, then it was 50, then it was 100. Now and they're barging in and they're completely disrupting the House. So as I had said in previous remotes, Kevin McCarthy is under criminal investigation for his money sources. We now see that, in fact, there are investigations into George Santos and his money sources. Also, people are starting to question Kevin McCarthy because evidently he knew more than he was willing to let on to, and that puts him at risk. So let's take a moment to talk about that. Anybody have any feelings about that? Are we going to find out his name? Is he a U.S. citizen? Does he even legally belong here? How did he get into the country? Good point mentioned by Joel Tilson. Thank you, Joel. That the money is getting linked back to Russia, and so it's another breach. Do you feel that this is part of an FBI sit and watch them cook? If the FBI knew all of this stuff at the time that Robert Mueller was investigating, do you think that they're just sitting and watching the Republicans in the House, all of whom took money from Kevin McCarthy so that they would get their seats, and they were not asked, where's the money coming from for the lawyers? By the way, remember when we had gone into the remotes on the lawyers, we said that there was obstruction of justice taking place that was actually harming the investigation by the DOJ. Talked about the fact that when I put myself in the shoes of Merrick Garland, there was so much obstruction. I was forced to do an investigation on the attorneys, and they could be charged with obstruction of justice, and also were following the money. So if you are a member of the FBI, one of the things you do with suspects is you're watching them. They don't know how much you know. And then you sit back and you watch them bake under the heat. Maybe you periodically drop a hint through news agencies, and then you just sit and watch them bake as the heat rises and the hysteria rises. So again, we had talked about a 9-day period before we start to see craziness happening. I think that was 6 days ago, 5 to 6 days ago. So again, we're looking at Tuesday, Wednesday before we see all hell break loose in the House. But the good news is you get to have the news early and you know the technique because we teach the technique here. And so sit back and let yourself be swayed by the energy that's going to be hitting the house when it returns Tuesday, Wednesday. Joel Tilson is saying that Santos is a naturalized U.S. citizen. So I think that part of this is also the FBI just sitting back and watching people fighting, cat fights in the girls' room, smoking in the boys' room. Yeah, and so you can imagine these conservative, straight-laced, Christian Congress people who've been there for 20 years. They're not too happy with some of the shenanigans. Before we keep going, I also want to just give prayers to people in, is it Alhambra, California, outside Los Angeles. There was another gunman, another massacre. It looks like 10 people have been killed and 10 wounded. It was at a dance studio in Monterey Park during the Chinese New Year celebrations. They believe that the suspect may have entered another dance hall 30 minutes before that. He fled. They took his gun away. It was not an assault rifle. When I go into this energy, it looks like a hate crime against the Chinese. And as we know, there's been a rise in attacks against Asians by the alt-right. Unfortunately, anybody and everybody seems to be able to get a gun these days in the United States. But this is looking like a hate crime. And I think the suspect fled southwest of the crime, if the feds are watching. This was the 42nd mass shooting since January 1st. Can you believe that? But yeah, it's looking like it was an attack against, the hate against Chinese Americans. So we just pray that this individual will be, oh, maybe it was southeast, actually, when I go. Maybe southeast, excuse me. So that would mean that he's headed back. Is he headed back to Los Angeles? I think they're going to catch him. I think they'll catch him. But it just goes to how dangerous this hate news is. And it's very volatile. I was on Twitter and I just Googled Harry and Meghan, and it was all paid bots and fake hostile articles about how evil they both were. And it's clearly planted. It's clearly planted by people who've been hired to write trashy things about them to muster up and puts people's lives at risk. And this was unfortunately just another example of how these troll farms and this rhetoric is killing people. I really hope we can do something about it. There's going to be a news conference at 2:30 Pacific Standard Time, according to Kathy Lamson. Thank you. We send our prayers to the victims and the victims' families. It's horrible. Oh, that's Eastern Standard Time. Excuse me. According to Joel Tilson, thank you, Joel, again. He keeps me honest. Rupert Murdoch was deposed for 2 days last week for the Dominion lawsuit. As I had said in previous remotes, the FBI was all over Fox News and also their money sources. And now we're seeing that. It's interesting. I'm actually reading Spare, DD, the book written by Prince Harry, which is has broken records for the most sales of nonfiction book, 3.5 million sold. And what they're claiming he says and what he actually says are entirely different. They're making stuff up. Harry said this and Harry said that. And then you go and read what he says. No, he didn't. So I think that some people are lazy. They don't want to do their homework. They don't want to just sit back and say, okay, let's sit back. Let's do our homework. What did the person actually say? Let's get our facts straight. People just want to run off and hate somebody or have an opinion. So I think given the environment, we all have to just calm and get our facts straight. Yeah. So that is what's going on with that. Elon Musk is back in the news. I don't know if you all heard about this. You can pay to get a blue check mark saying that this is a kosher account. Isn't that lovely? A blue check mark. Unfortunately, he gave the blue check mark to Taliban leaders. Yes, Taliban leaders who want to tell you why they want to kill you, why they want to destroy the West. Anyway, he gave them blue check marks, which led to people getting a little upset. And evidently, he then had to retract the blue check marks. So it goes back to the fact that I think Elon Musk is over his head. I think he's going to sell Twitter because let's just face facts. He's not really very good at it. Yeah, he's not really very good at it. Time to go, Elon. Just sell the thing. I mean, he's lucky if he gets 20 billion for it. If I owned Twitter, I would buy it back from him for 20 billion. Then you've made a $20 billion profit. You can take that money to build a much better platform. The stocks will go back up again, so you'll be able to get the stocks at dirt cheap rates. You use the 20 billion to improve Twitter in all the ways that they wanted it to be improved. You give everybody raises, you hire them back, you're the star of the show. Good idea. I think he should sell. I think because he's also being threatened by international agencies, MI6, Interpol, etc., because he seems to be propping up and promoting terrorism. So that doesn't look like it's a good thing at all. Looks like Jim Jordan is also in the news. He's requested to get private information about ongoing information from the DOJ. Yes, Geocosmic Valentine. It's probably worth 17 billion, but they might be willing to sell it for, based on the remotes, it looks like it's worth about 17 billion. So he bought it for what, 44 billion? So now it's worth 17 billion. So he might be able to sell it back for 20 billion, in which case they've made a $20 billion profit. They're also able to get stock options at really low rates because the stock crashed. And then, of course, the stock will explode once they take it back. I think it's a great deal. Go back and negotiate buying it back. Take the criticisms and then use that as a way of marketing the new Twitter. Better and new improved now that he's gone. I mean, you'd make a fortune. And all you'd be doing is taking back the company you owned before. Put, as the great Rachel Maddow would say, stick a pin in that. Okay, so Jim Jordan is the next thing we're going to talk about. Predictions with Jim Jordan and the DOJ. They've told him he's not getting diddly squat. Gee, why would that be? He wants information about the private investigations. Why do you think that Jim Jordan wants private information on their investigation into January 6th? He's looking for his name. How much do they know? They're also talking about going after the FBI. Gee, I wonder why. Oy vavoy vavoy, right? So he's on the short list, right? Jim Jordan, the people that had requested pardons. I believe he was one of them. Of course, they're not going to, they've basically flat out said no. I'm very excited for next week. I don't know about the rest of you, but I am, so excited for Tuesday, Wednesday in the House next week. Now, if you're tired of popcorn, there are healthier snacks. You can get out the Sabra hummus and the Mary's crackers. It's low carb, high protein. It'll be great. Maybe get yourself some chopped veggies to go with that. What do you say? It's vegan. All right. So, I don't anticipate. Flax crackers are also good. Joel, check out the Mary's Super Seed. I think you'll be very happy with those. Yeah. So we got to talk about the FBI looking at Biden's Delaware home again. Do you folks think that Biden is in trouble? What do you think about this? Is Biden in trouble? Search revealed 6 more documents, and they also took handwritten notes. Are we looking at why is this going on? A, somebody tipped off the feds. Somebody tipped off the feds. Who tipped off the feds? Is it possible that somebody or a group of people in the Democratic Party do not want Biden to run in 2024 because they feel he's too old? They've seen some things that have them worried, and so they've tipped off the feds to try and get him out of the race in 2024 because they want a younger candidate. Is it possible that the enemy is within? Why do we assume that it's the Republicans that are doing it? Now, the Republicans are certainly milking it. Is it possible it's us? Is it possible that people working with the president are trying to sabotage the president? Possibly. Possibly there are people that think that it would be a disaster for him to be serving in his 80s as the president for various different reasons, and maybe theoretically working with certain persons to get him out of there in time for us to pick another candidate. It's possible. It's possible. It's something we have to think about. Do I think that there's anything nefarious going on? No. Do I think it's possible that there are people in the Democratic Party that don't want Biden to win? Yes. And we're seeing the chief of staff leaving. I'm sure there's a story there, right? What do you think? Well, that's the question. Who are they pushing to have run? The number one candidate. Are y'all ready for the number one candidate based on the rumors? I'm just giving you the rumors and the remotes. Wes Moore of Maryland is the number one choice. How do y'all feel about Wes Moore of Maryland? Yeah, so he evidently is the leading choice by many people to Governor of California? No, not the governor of California. I don't think he wants to run. Westmore of Maryland is he is, I believe, the first African-American man to be the governor of Maryland, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, so he is the rising star. And people also feel that we need a younger candidate. I don't think Gavin Newsom has too many. He's got some issues. Like his ex-wife has lost her marbles. And yeah, so that's not good. Okay, we want to celebrate the Women's March for Reproductive Health that took place today, celebrating the 50th anniversary of Roe v. Wade. So the Women's March was today for Roe v. Wade. Mazel tov to us. Let's hope we can protect women's rights going forward. Yeah, so that is the story there. I have two dreams, two prophetic dreams. Neither is particularly happy that I want to get to, and then we will do the collective reading, and then we will blitz away. Oh, it looks like Pam CHKS is talking about the fact that there's a documentary on Kavanaugh coming out. Yeah, I hope he gets charged because that would be good if he gets if people would please start looking into that man. Katrine Devine is having toast with raspberry jam. Delicious. I got myself some of that natural unsweetened strawberry jam. Delicious. I don't know what they sweeten it with. It was delicious. Hi, Jeffrey Stein. Good to see you here. All right. So the first thing we want to talk about is we want to talk about the war in Ukraine. I don't know if you all know this, but it is winter. It's a very hard time to be fighting in Ukraine. So we want to be sending prayers out to the people of Ukraine at this time. Energetically, this is a really vulnerable time for Ukraine. It is a very vulnerable time. When I put myself in the shoes of the soldiers, I'm physically exhausted because this war has gone on for nearly a year. They're not being replenished. They're just fighting and they're just ready to physically drop. So that's a problem because they don't have reinforcements. So we've got the cold weather, we have hypothermia, they're being outmanned. There's a fight because Germany doesn't want to release the tanks. I think they should just do it already. As much help as we can get. And at this point, if we can send soldiers, even better. Now, when you put yourself in the shoes of Russia, you have a different situation because Russia has paid soldiers through the Wagner Group. So they have reinforcements. So a group of soldiers die, they bring in a fresh new group from Central Asia or wherever. Whereas it's the same Ukrainian soldiers. That's the feeling you get as a remote viewer. And they're just exhausted. They're freezing. They're begging for help. They need more equipment. Whereas on the Russian side, they just keep replenishing. They just keep replenishing. They just keep replenishing. So the biggest catastrophe that the Ukrainians are worried about is an assault, a three-way assault coming from the east, coming from the southeast, coming from the south, this idea of a massive invasion coming in all at once, and the idea that they would not have the physical strength and the military wherewithal to protect themselves. So it's a very vulnerable time in the war. I know some people want to know even if Putin is alive. He seems to have dropped off the radar. Is he alive? Is he under house arrest? I haven't looked into that. I'm more than happy to do it when we start the blitzes. But I can tell you as a remote viewer, it's not equal when you look at this new, fresh soldiers coming in that they've held back on the Russian side. It almost feels like rope-a-dope. And you've got an exhausted opponent with waning arsenal on the part of Ukraine. So we just hope that the world becomes consciously aware of that, and that the leaders are consciously aware of that and can do what is necessary to help Ukraine at this time. There's a lot of heavy fighting in Zaporizhia, which is near the nuclear power plant. We've talked about the vulnerabilities there, but the NATO squabbles over tanks for Ukraine is not helping the situation. So we just want to, again, pray for Ukraine and pray that they can get some help, both in terms of military aid. They need more soldiers and they need more equipment. So expect things to become intensifying in that part of the world over the next few weeks. All right, the next dream that I had to do with Africa and changes taking place in Africa. Now, many of you know that both Russia and China have invested heavily in new roads and new infrastructure in Africa. Unfortunately, they've also invested in civil war in Africa. And as I go into this energy, I had a dream last night that we could be seeing extreme civil unrest in South Africa. Fighting, racial tensions increasing, etc. So it appears that, again, it's coming from bots. It could be coming from Russia, but there's a desire anywhere you see Russia, North Korea, particularly Russia, but also North Korea, etc., where these bots and these attempts to create these coups, just like what we saw in South America, we're now going to start seeing some really intense stress starting to come up out of Africa, and to keep your eyes on South Africa over the next few weeks and months, because it looked like they were pushing towards wanting a civil war in South Africa. So South Africa is looking very vulnerable right now. I feel like I'm Debbie Downer, but that unfortunately is what's happening. And, you know, what do we do about it? That's the other conversation. What do we do about it? How do we get people to, how do we put a stop to this type of crazy manipulation through bots and through fake news? I don't know. But, you know, there's civil war breaking out in Peru right now. Evidently, there's rioting in the streets again in Lima. Venezuela has collapsed. And unfortunately, everything is starting to go crazy in Johannesburg from what it looks like. So again, we just want to send prayers, but we also want to have people be consciously aware, because by being consciously aware that this is what's going on, maybe it can make a difference. All right, that's all the remotes and all the news I have for you. We had a lot, like I said, you know, big show. We had a lot to go through. I want to give gratitude to everyone who's been donating to our charity today. If I haven't had a chance to thank you, 100% goes to the charity, which is the National Coalition to End Homelessness. We'll be raising money for them all month long. Thank you, Katrine Devine, for that $5 donation to the charity. Boy, I really appreciate everybody who's able to donate. I think we've raised close to $2,000. I'd hoped we could raise $5,000 by the end of the month. I don't know. Let's see what we can do, people. Nobody should be homeless. All right. So would people, oh, thank you, Mel Broussard, for that $5 donation to end homelessness. Much appreciation. I think now I would like to do the empath prayer for you all. And of course, you can say it with me if you like. And then I would like to give you all a collective reading. Then after that, we'll do some blitzes. Does that work for everybody? Oh, wow. Somebody Joanna Carson likes, a YouTuber by the name of Franco, is stuck in Peru. Thank you, Earth Eyes. Hi. Thank you for the $20 donation to the National Coalition to End Homelessness. Much appreciation to you. Okay, so empath prayer. Yes, yes, yes. Collective reading. Thank you, Anonymous, for that donation of $5 to end homelessness. Yeah, my sister was going to be in Machu Picchu, I think in May, but it looks like she may have to cancel if this continues. She's like me. She lives frugally and she travels. And sometimes we bump into each other in airports. It's because we're both addicted to travel. We bumped into each other in Amsterdam a couple months ago. Like, where are you coming from? She's like, Venice. Where are you coming from? Lisbon. It was very funny. All right, let's say it together. Let's do the empath prayer. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journey, to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, as a community, we say, Amen. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lenore, for that $10 donation. Thank you, Anonymous, for that $5 donation. Oh, yeah. Oh, Earth Eyes donated $20. Lovely. I just noticed it was 20. Thank you. Your message. Now, I believe in the collective like Carl Jung, so hopefully there will be in the collective, there will be a unique message for you. That is my prayer. Oops, I'm upside down. Thanks for hanging with me on Sunday. Where we are at together collectively as a group. If you had a spirit guide, if you had good angels, if you had a guardian angel or a god, what is it, a godmother or a fairy godmother? Yes, if you had a fairy godmother or a fairy godfather. The message to you from Spirit is that you now have the tools to create heaven on earth for yourself. You now have the tools to create heaven on earth for yourself. You have the wisdom, you have the knowledge, you know what you need to do to be happy. Give yourself permission to be happy because you know who you are now. Many of you have been on a search to find out who you are. There is an ease here. Many of you will spend the rest of your lives learning because you love to learn. But there is a message here from Spirit that you are at a point in your life where you know who you are. You have come, you have done the work. The base of the matter for you is the High Priestess. And the High Priestess is the revealer of the hidden. It's also a card of great wisdom. It's a card of wisdom, hidden knowledge. Many of you are truth seekers. The Torah is the bearer of the light, Ta-or. So I think the first message from your spirit guides is that you have come a long way, and it's important for you to take a moment. We don't want to be in our egos, but to acknowledge how far you have come, that you have fulfilled many of your spiritual desires in terms of your awareness of who you are as a human being. You have the ability at this point in your life, through your wisdom, to create whatever life you want for yourself. So the karma for you is the world. To be clear, you have two major arcana cards for the 11th and 12th house. Who you are, the High Priestess, sitting in knowledge and power, and what your karma is, you are granted the world. Do not underestimate how far you have come, and do not underestimate how much you know at this time. You understand the importance of your physical and spiritual health. We're now starting the year of the rabbit. They say it's going to be a tough year, but it's also going to be a year of growth. There's going to be a lot of disruptions the year of the rabbit based on the Chinese predictions for this year. The number one concern for you is, how can you be healthy? What do you need to do to be your healthiest self? Where you're at right now is Archangel Raphael comes to you in the first house, and he brings the elixir of healing. So this is a year where you have decided that you will do everything in your power to live in optimal health. You've made some tough decisions where friends and family are concerned. I think that was a lot of what 2022 was about. Many of you ended relationships with family members. Many of you had to establish new boundaries. Some of you went to court, and some of you are still facing court cases. The Justice card is a card that has to do with pursuing justice, but the Hebrew word is din, and it's about boundaries and law. And there's another Hebrew word, which is gavura, which is to create a fence. So boundaries, appropriate behavior with others, learning to say no, ending relationships, getting divorces. Things have ended. What's interesting is that it's juxtapositioned with your health. And so you chose your health over relationships or situations that compromised your health. Your health came first. Nobody or no thing has a right to compromise your health. And if your health is being compromised, you need to get out of there, and you have a moral responsibility to do that. There's an awareness of that. What is above you, looking beyond your current situation to one's wishes, waiting for the ship to come in. A lot of you are going to be doing some traveling. A lot of you might become RVers, full-time or part-time, because this is a card of movement and travel as well. Romance is available to those of you who want it. I just joined Elite Singles, full disclosure. Much to my surprise, there were a lot of nice boys there. There were a lot of nice men. You know, you always think there's something horrible is going to happen when you join these singles groups. But I joined Elite Singles, and not that I work for this company. There were some real catches. I was pleasantly surprised. I got a few catches, and these are nice men. They're very nice. So what you're sitting in is Ace of Cups. So a desire for love. It's there if you want it. And I was also surprised at how many men in their 50s and 60s want to date an age-appropriate woman. You know, you think when you hit 59, I'm out of luck. But I had all these guys there are plenty of guys that want to date a woman that's their own age. So that You know, we have to be careful not to buy into the BS. But if you want love, you've got a nice Ace of Cups that you're sitting in. What you're coming out of, your wish has already been granted. Your cards are excellent. The only negative thing, I don't even want to call it negative, is that in order to be healthy, we have to have some stress in life. You know, if you create heaven on earth for rats, they created rat utopia and the rats went insane and started eating each other. You have to have some resistance. You have to have some stress. It's good for the soul to have some stress, to fight the good fight, to work for what it is we believe in, right? So you're in a great place this year. You're focusing on your health. You're doing what you need to do to take care of you. You are getting away from anything that is a threat to your health and your well-being. You've done everything right, but we still have to fight the good fight. 7 of Wands comes to you in the 6th house. So you're still defending and fighting. Your priorities are straight. Don't let yourself be manipulated by people who think that you have to lie down and die for them. At the same time, you still have to establish your boundaries, and we still have to get out and march, right? Like the women who went out and marched today for reproductive rights. We still have to fight the good fight. That's part of being human. Spiritually, you guys are doing great. Your 7th house is the Hierophant. Be careful you're not dogmatic, but I did my chanting today, my prayer work. We all have a tradition or a system we're using that's going to get you in a good place and makes you feel connected to God and spirit. What is around you? The Queen of Wands again. So even though things are going great for us, we still have some resistance. We still have to fight the good fight. It's necessary for our own health, actually, that we do this. Hopes and prayers for you is that you have a happy home, that you have happy partnerships, that you be able to work well in your place of work and in your place of home. 2 of Wands is the hope and the fear. And then the final outcome for us is scholarship. It's interesting. This is a very academic year for all of us. When you think about the fact that the base of the matter is the High Priestess, which is a desire to seek the unknown. It may be joining a mystery school. It may be working in heart-centered remote viewing. We have several students here today. Or it may be just studying something you've always wanted to study. For me, it's the guitar, right? But it's about spiritual knowledge and actual knowledge. And then the Hermit is again about scholarship and knowledge. So I think it's a year of incredible growth for you. It's also a year of incredible growth for your health. You know, there are diets and lifestyles that can age us in reverse, increasing antioxidants, increasing exercise, decreasing caloric intake, reducing unnecessary stress, being excited about what tomorrow brings. All of these things can age us in reverse. So you have health being a priority. You're going to do everything in your power to be strict. You're not going to lie down and give up. No, that you're going to take responsibility for your health this year. And you're going to be very scholarly this year. Many of you will fall in love and let yourself be loved because you're attracting other people that have also done the work. And so this could be a year also of romantic commitments for you. You can see Fool takes a leap of faith regarding love. This is the husband or suitors card, the hopes and fears, the hidden mysteries of Pentacles, but also you have a man here or a lover, a suitor again, and then a commitment. So I think many of you are going to have the time to put in a little romance. I've been talking to a few very nice guys, and it's a lot of fun. All right, so that is the collective reading for the group today. It's a good year for everybody. So nice to be able to give it at the beginning of Chinese New Year as well for the group. Thank you, Anonymous, for that $20 donation to end homelessness. Much appreciation. Thank you, Kathy Murray, for the $20 donation to end homelessness. And Anonymous has donated $5. We have another anonymous donation for $20 and another anonymous donation for $5, an anonymous donation for $5, and Lenore 52 has donated $10. Thank you, everybody, for giving to a worthy cause. It's much appreciated. L'chaim, l'chaim, everyone. Well, that was good. That was one of the better readings we've gotten in a while. What is the charity today? The charity today is the National Coalition to End Homelessness. That is the charity today. And whenever we get the order, we will blitz away, and we'll start taking people's questions for anything we didn't get to in the opening. If people have any questions they need me to blitz on. Blitz is a 5-minute reading, 3 to 5 minutes per question. Oh, good, Yvette Smith found somebody. Very nice. We're getting plenty of orders to blitz away. Absolutely great. Be Grateful has donated $20. Yay to everyone who's making donations. We are making the world a better place. We don't just have fun and drink coffee, though we do that too. We don't just gossip. We don't just do coffee talk. We also make the world a better place. Oh, DM and S. Oh my goodness, so many beautiful donations. S. Kim has donated $50 to the National Coalition to End Homelessness. Much gratitude. Thank you, S. Kim. I adore you. You're such a sweet girl. DM has donated $20. Thank you so much. And Anonymous has donated $5 as well. All right. So we have got a time now to do some questions. So let me go ahead and look for those check question marks. All right. Jeffrey Stein has a question here. He wants to know if Putin is still alive. Let's look at Putin's cards. Good question. What do y'all think? Think Putin's still around? Could he have been removed by his own people because of his incompetency in handling the war? I don't know. Is Putin still alive? People think he's psychotic, and people's responses to him are he's being openly criticized now on Russian state media. So he's presenting as alive, stubborn, rigid, refusing to acknowledge that he did anything wrong. And people are moving. I think he's going to be retiring, which is what he did to Yeltsin. They don't usually assassinate the people in positions of power in Russia. They don't assassinate you. They simply retire you. And then they tell you you don't have a choice. And you retired yesterday. This looks like he's being forced out. He's probably being retired, just as Yeltsin was. And he doesn't have a choice, and he doesn't want to do it. I don't see him dead. You can see here the Ice King, stubborn, refusing the situation, but he also has a 4 of Cups, which would indicate that he's refusing the offer. The other in relationship with him, the Devil and the Hierophant. What's interesting here is that it could be that the power came from the church structure and the mafia being connected. They could have ousted Putin. So the church and the mafia and the oligarchs may have used their power to push him out and put somebody else in his place. That would be how I would interpret it. His hope and his fear, spies in the mist, gossiping in the house, his family legacy, and being victorious in war. But this can also be family gossip. His final outcome is defending his territory, and he wants Ukraine, Page of Pentacles. he thinks that they're going to get Ukraine and that it's rope-a-dope, and that the Ukrainian people are so exhausted that they can switch the tide of the war this winter. But I don't see him dead. I'm very concerned that the Ukrainian people are exhausted and they're not getting the support they need to deal with these new recruits coming in. So the West has to be consciously aware of it. I think he's going to be forced out, but he's not dead. All right, this question is coming from Geriatric Brig. She wants to know about Boris Johnson. He went to Kyiv this weekend. Why was Boris Johnson in Kyiv? Why was Boris Johnson in Kyiv? He's friends with Zelensky. He and Zelensky get along great. He went as an ambassador, he's basically saying, and he went to Kyiv to try and strengthen world support for Ukraine. It has to do with their friendship, the growth of the friendship, and he's trying to do what he can to create an alliance. He's trying to help Ukraine. Zelensky has said that they are friends. There is a major attack that's going to hit Ukraine, and the West is aware of it. You can see the attack here, and it's going to be happening over the next 2 to 3 weeks. The world's contract or commitment to Ukraine is the issue. The hopes and fears justice. He wants to assuage the fears that Zelensky has that the alliance, NATO, they don't want to fracture NATO. Two of Wands, the partnership, and Two of Cups. It's about strengthening, which surprises me because Boris Johnson really messed some things up, and now he seems to be really have taken on quite seriously the support of Ukraine. It had to do with strengthening the alliance of NATO, and it looks like he's doing everything similar to Carter. After Carter retired, he was still going to the Middle East and working to bridge gaps, etc. And it looks like actually Boris Johnson was helping. I know, it's hard to believe. All right, this question is coming from Dee Dee. Hi, Dee Dee. Thank you for your question. She wants to know why Jacinda Adhearn, the PM of New Zealand, really resigned. She said she couldn't take the constant harassment from the conservatives, etc. It got to be too much for her. Let's take a look. Why did she resign? It was too much. She was exhausted. A lot of it had to do with physical exhaustion. She also would not leave New Zealand if she didn't have faith in her predecessors. She's saying basically that she feels that there's a man coming in for New Zealand. I'm getting the feed right now. She feels that the guy coming in, she has allies. There's a man who she's been talking to who she feels can replace her, and she feels that he'll do a fine job. There were global reasons. There were also spiritual reasons. It's exhausting. But you can see she's reaching across the aisle, Lovers and Two of Cups. So she has somebody in mind who's going to be replacing her. Also, there's increasing support for her replacement. It's a guy who is calm, moderate, compassionate, level-headed, and she trusts him. Divorcing the situation and then handing the cups over to somebody else. She already has somebody in mind to replace her. I don't know anything about it, but it looks like she's already found a replacement that she's going to be supporting and that she has confidence in. It's exhausting. Imagine not getting more than 4 hours of sleep for years. I mean, most healthy people, it's supposed to be temporary. You're not supposed to be a career politician. And I think that she just, it was time to hand it over to someone that she respected and admired, who was level-headed, who she felt could do the job and take on the commitment. All right, this question is coming from Joel Tilson. He wants to know if, is Biden running? Is this going to hurt his chances of winning? Is he going to have a replacement? Let's see about Biden's cards and if somebody else is going to be running in 2024 because of this ongoing criticism and the investigation of his home for private documents. I have no idea. It's interesting that in the remote, it seemed to suggest that there were enemies from within that did not want him running in 2024. That took me aback because publicly, Schumer and Pelosi and everybody else is saying, he's great, he's great. We are going to support him. We think he's a great choice. They're saying it publicly, but when you go into the remote, there are Democrats trying to get him out of there because they feel that he simply, it's an issue of his health. His health is a concern both for the Democrats and also for the Republicans. Somebody is aggressively pursuing it. There's real concerns that he doesn't have the health and the mental wherewithal to do another 4 years. And maybe some things were witnessed, or there are concerns, and it's coming also from the Democrats, that they're being foolish by having him as the replacement, possibly a woman. They're actually thinking of a woman. So part of them are wondering if Kamala Harris can take over. There's a possibility he will not run. Somebody is aggressively pursuing the seat. Some young energy wants to be victorious. The hope and the fear. It's too big of a burden for him at this point in his life. Things that are not being discussed publicly. Many people feel that Amy would be the best president. What's her name? Amy. My name is Amy. And I always win. I always win. My name is Amy. That's her on the treadmill. They could see somebody like Amy from, where is she? Minnesota? Amy Klobuchar. Yeah, I did a remote view of Amy. Somebody said, go be Amy Klobuchar. And I think I had a thick skirt, thick socks and tennis shoes. And I was on a treadmill and I had a mantra, and that was my mantra. My name is Amy. And I always win. I always win. My name is... And it was like, whoa. She gives herself mantras. And there's a lot of people that think that she would be a better choice. Also, they love her. You know, the Midwest loves her. Republicans love her. Democrats. She's got grit, right? They think that there are people working from within his own party that appear to want him not to run. I'm sorry to say it, but that's what it looks like. And they're gearing up for a strong female. And I think I've always felt that Amy Klobuchar, she speaks to the Midwest working class. She is Midwest working class. So if you're an independent and you want to take the Midwest, You want to make sure you get Michigan, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, and possibly even turn Ohio and Indiana. Then you want someone like Amy Klobuchar, because she's the type of a woman that community, the men in that community that are independent, they understand her. She understands them, and they trust her. And those are powerful, powerful traits if you're trying to win an election. Yeah. How do y'all feel about that? Do you think it's possible? Let's talk about it, and then we'll go to another remote. Do you think it's possible that there are people within the Democratic Party that don't want Biden to win that could be part of trying to sabotage him? It's weird, right? It's something to think about with those types of energies. Thank you, Earth Eyes, for donating $35. Much appreciated. Thank you. Yeah, that was who I mean, it was such a weird vision of myself on a treadmill. Get out of my way, Pete. My name is Amy. Yeah, and I almost felt like Lucy from Charlie Brown. Get out of my way, Pete, or I'll knock your socks off. Yeah, it was a very too conservative, Amy. Not really. I don't think so. I think she's pro-choice. It's really more about grit and caring about the working man. And I would love if she could pick Buttigieg. If she runs, I would love to have Buttigieg be her VP. I think that would be a hell of a ticket. All right, this question is coming from NP regarding the classified documents. Is there any chance that they were moving documents? Moving documents from, say, Mar-a-Lago to Biden, or if the classified documents at Mar-a-Lago once contained Biden documents. Let's take a look in general at the investigation into Mar-a-Lago documents and see if we can find out any information. We know that Trump is running out of steam. We know that Michael Cohen spoke with the NY district attorney recently. We did a remote view for you all. I believe it was on Thursday, that showed that they were prepping him and rehearsing him for a grand jury. People wanted to know what that was about. So it was about a grand jury. Let's take a look. Let's see what's going on with Trump and his classified documents and all of his other woes. Oi, brother. Oi, Vezmir. Oi, Gewaltigmir. You guys are learning Yiddish today. All right, what's going on with Donald Trump? They found the money sources. The main thing is the money sources. It's about, they got him on money, tax evasion. They had Cohen looking at documents. So Cohen was looking over documents. He was confirming certain signatures during that meeting from what we could figure out, and how he was going to do and answer questions in front of a grand jury. So they got him on the money. His opposition is in a position of power, so they feel like they can prove it. He's having some health crises. We've talked about that. It appears like his mind is starting to go a little bit. He's got a 7 of Cups, which can be feelings of being a little bit out of it. Hidden money. His money schemes were exposed. Yeah, so I think in the end, what takes Trump out is the money schemes. And I don't think he's going to serve time in prison. I think he'll have to serve under house arrest, which makes the most sense. And he's going to lose his wealth. Not that he has much wealth, but this is the feds over his money, what his dealings were regarding money deals. His mental health is looking really strange. Over his health, we have mental confusion, lunacy. He's gone a little cuckoo even for him. So it goes back to, questions about his mental health and whether or not somebody with this type of mental health problems can be in a regular prison. This type, and you can't have his Secret Service in the prison with him. And so the most logical explanation is house arrest. I always see him living in a room with Eric, and the grandkids are wondering what's wrong with grandpa and go and bring him his bowl of soup. It really does seem to end like that. Sonia Pinola, what about Hakeem for president? I think Hakeem is a great choice. I think people, I think he's a great choice. He's a great man and he's a great choice. But I think people feel like they want to go with somebody who might have more of a resume because Hakeem is kind of like a rising star. I'd like to see him be Speaker of the House, which is entirely possible because I think we're going to be losing 3 members of Congress relatively soon. I don't see this Congress holding. I don't see the Republican coalition holding. And next week, all hell breaks loose, right? So that'll be interesting. All right. Now, we've talked about the fact that China was facing all kinds of economic hardships, the reason being because of their zero COVID policy, the fact that they had overextended their borders, they had bought far too much land and invested in far too many infrastructure projects all over the world. And now they have some real estate companies that haven't completed houses in China. People want their money back. They can't get them. Their banks have been closing them out. They can't get their money back. China claims that they'll be back in 2023 because they're opening their borders. I'm skeptical. Let's take a look. I think this will be our last question because it's already almost 12:30. All right. Is China bankrupt? They're in trouble. The main hostility that they're having towards Taiwan is the fact that Taiwan is getting deals, that they're losing deals. It's transformed. There's a death card over the economy. The opposition to China is celebrating. They've taken a hard blow, the word that it's not going anywhere. It looks like their economy could just be dead with a Knight of Pentacles. It's just not going anywhere. They have to stop in the denial and take a hard look at what's really going on with their economy. With the Archangel Michael is how I see the Page of Swords. It's the sword of truth. So I think they're in trouble. You know, when you think about the Knight of Pentacles, it goes nowhere. So regarding the death, they just mismanaged their money. You know, they overextended. This is what happened to Rome. You know, they're in denial. They're not facing the truth of their economic situation. Look at this, the truth coming out regarding their situation, grief. Sobriety. They have to get sober. Look, it's a non-growth economy. Refusal to acknowledge the truth. Their denial and refusal to acknowledge the economic situation they're in is very, very bad for them. Anyway, that is what I see for China. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for having a really cool brunch with me. I had a heck of a good time. I hope you did as well. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, I do offer phone readings if you want to get a tarot reading for this beautiful January. You can go to tarotwithwhimsy.com, or you can just click on my Booksy link, which is below this video, and it'll take you to the Booksy appointments. And then I call you at the appointed time. Appointments are Pacific Standard Time. So if it says your appointment's at 3 p.m. and you're in New York, that means it's going to be 6 p.m. your time. I always have to tell people that. If you need a quick Wizio reading, those are 5-minute pre-taped readings. I think they run for like $25-$30. I pre-tape them for you, and I can usually get them back to you within a week. Those can be requested through Wizio, and that information is below this video. Short, sweet, quick, and cheap. All right. Thank you, everyone. I will continue to be putting up brief remote views as they come. And again, thank you, everyone who has donated to our charity today. If I didn't thank you before, Anonymous, $5. Sharon Richley, thank you very much for the $5 donation, and another $5 donation. Thank you. Thank you. Much appreciation. I also want to give a shout out to everybody who's donated their time today. The moderators, Joel Tilson, Joyce Pietras, K Travel Tarot, thank you so much. Debbie Brady, Dreams Coach. I cannot live without you, my dear. Thank you for everything you do. Geriatric Brig, thank you so much for your help as well. I think I thanked Joyce Pietras. I hope I did. Thank you, Melissa Miller. All right. Try and get out there and get some exercise in. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you next time. Be well, everyone. Stay safe, and hug your dog for me. Hug your kitty. Hug your friends. All right. Be well, everyone.